All right, so welcome back. Last time we started our first video here, we were talking about scarcity. We started off scarcity is basically how we have a limited number of things. It's a fundamental problem of economics that people have unlimited wants, but we have a limited amount of resources. We also said that businesses have four factors of production here: your labor, your natural resources, which is called land, your capital, and your entrepreneurial ability to make everything. We use the example of Jeremiah's ice. You have your workers, natural resources. Jeremiah's would be like your sugar or your milk. The capital is just the machines. Capital is very important in economics. It's your machines, it's your tools, your equipment, anything that's used to make another like consumer good. And entrepreneurial ability is just your ability to make more stuff because you figure out a way to mix up these things. Trade-offs. Everybody has trade-offs, also known as your opportunity costs. Trade-offs are just saying that you can't do two things. Trade-offs are just saying that you can't do two things at once. You watching this video means you are not watching reruns of Friends on Netflix or something. I don't know. Whatever. Opportunity cost is basically what you have to give up. It is your next best alternative. With opportunity cost, it often is how much you have to give up in order to get one of something else. We're going to talk about that a bit more today. Then we went into discuss marginal analysis. Marginal analysis is basically, hey, are you going to buy that item? You are going to buy the item if you think your benefit is going to be greater than how much it costs for you to get that next unit of something. So in regards to pizza, if you're at a buffet, then the cost at a buffet, you've already paid to get in there. So one more additional slice of pizza is $0. So at buffets, you eat a whole lot until you get stuffed. You eat so much at a buffet that you actually eat until the next slice doesn't bring any benefit at all. It actually makes you hurt. You eat until you hurt, and then once you hurt, you're actually going to have a negative benefit, and a negative is less than $0. So you go ahead and stop there. But people continue to go ahead and buy the item until their benefit is less than their marginal cost, and they stop. We went on to the production possibilities, and we said the production possibilities curve. This could be either a curve or a straight line here. Shows the limit. That curve is the limit to how much an economy can produce. Let's say the economy is producing either consumer goods or capital goods. There's a limit to how much they make. Arbitrarily, we just said, hey, they can either make, if they put all their resources, they can make 20 capital goods, or if they put all their resources towards making consumer goods, they can make 20 consumer goods. We said if the economy is producing anywhere on that curve, then the economy is said to be at equilibrium. That's our goal. We're trying to get to equilibrium. But occasionally, economies do not make all their potential. If they're not reaching their potential, then the economy is said to be in recession. If an economy is in this recession, then that means there's going to be idle capital. There will be idle capital. So there could be that factory that's sitting there vacant and empty. You could make more if you open up that factory. You're not. In a recession, there's going to be idle workers, also known as saying, higher levels of unemployment. And we're going to analyze unemployment quite a bit in this class. We'll discuss it later. But recessions typically mean that you have idle capital and higher levels of unemployment than our natural rate of unemployment. And we'll look at that stuff in much greater detail later on. But right now, we're going to try and look at trade and why it's important, why trade is good for an economy, why economists advocate trade, and why we should trade with economies, even if we looks like we are more dominant than they are, or we can make a whole lot. Why it's actually better for both countries. And I'll go ahead and throw these notes up here right now. We're going to take a look at some of these terms. So, the AP exam, when talking about terms of trade, comparative advantage, absolute advantage, they can be definition style questions. We already went over what opportunity cost was. Opportunity cost is how much you have to give up of something to get another item. It's really nothing more than a ratio. If we looked at our original graph over here, 20 capital goods or 20 consumer goods, this ratio is just a 1-to-1 ratio. So for every for every consumer good we make, we're giving up the opportunity of producing one consumer good. So in this case, in this example here, this ratio, the opportunity cost, is just a 1-to-1 ratio. When we look at economics, we're going to look at multiple countries here. In this case, we're going to look at, we just come up with another example, the USA and China, and we're going to look at the production of cars and trucks. I'm making up these numbers, doesn't really mean anything, and I'll go ahead and graph all this out in a second for you. But when we take a look at this, we need to know these terms. It says a comparative advantage. A comparative advantage exists when a country can make an item at a lower opportunity cost. Why is it that some countries produce certain items all the time? Why is it that the U.S. produces a whole lot of wheat? Why do we produce a lot of cars? Why do we produce a lot of semiconductors? Why? Because we're really good at it. We're really efficient at it. We have a low opportunity cost at producing wheat and soybeans and semiconductors and automobiles. Why is it that the shirts that I buy from the store are made in Haiti? The U.S., can't we make t-shirts? Sure we can. We can make t-shirts, but Haiti seems to have a lot less capital than the United States, but yet we're buying them from Haiti. Why is that? Because Haiti has a comparative advantage in the production of t-shirts. If we decide to make t-shirts here in the United States, then that means that workers are making t-shirts. It means that workers can't make your semiconductors, your cars, or your John Deere tractors to make more to use that capital for wheat and soybean production. There are comparative advantages. There's a reason why items that are extremely labor intensive are produced in countries where wages are really low. There's reasons why really high-end material that takes a lot of ingenuity and high worker intelligence is produced in higher income areas that have a lot of capital, a lot of workforce. Germany, South Korea, these are economies that produce a lot of high-end material of great quality and workmanship, and they're smaller nations than the United States, but it's still produced there, and we trade with them. But let's go ahead and walk through this here. All right, I'll go a new sheet of paper, go through it step by step. So let's say arbitrarily here, we have two nations. I'll go through the same example, USA and China. We make two different items. So you got a response question. They could ask you to graph this out. They could ask you to determine the opportunity cost, the terms of trade, who benefits from the trade, so on and so forth. And in this, let's go ahead and pretend that the United States, try and color code this, the United States can produce, let's say, 50 cars if they put all their resources in the production of cars, or if they put all their resources in the production of trucks, they can make 100 trucks. And this will be USA. And let's say China, if China put all their resources in the production of cars, let's say they can make 25 cars or 75 trucks. Okay, so what would this look like if we were to graph it out? We'll say cars here on the vertical axis, trucks on the horizontal axis, 25, 75, 50. This is not drawn to scale, and I apologize for that. I'll try and color code this. So it'll be China here, and USA. It's not drawn to scale. I know these ratios aren't off. It looks like they're parallel. They shouldn't be. I apologize. We can see here that the United States has the ability to produce more cars, and the United States has the ability to produce more trucks. This is known as an absolute advantage. An absolute advantage is just simply who can make more of that item. So in this case, the absolute advantage for both cars and trucks is the United States. Does this mean that we should not trade with China? No, that absolutely is not true at all. Even if a nation has the capacity to make more of both the items, it's still going to be beneficial for both nations to specialize in whatever they're best at making, whatever they have the low opportunity costs in, and then trade for the other item. Okay, so let's take a look at who has what is known as the comparative advantage. Comparative advantage. Who can make this at a lower opportunity cost? So opportunity cost, like we said before, is nothing more than a ratio. So the ratio here in the United States, so USA, I'm trying to color code this, USA, for every one car they produce, one car, what's the ratio here? It's going to be a 1-to-2 ratio. 1, to 2. One car they produce, they have to give up 2 trucks. So the opportunity cost of one car, the opportunity cost of a car in the United States is 2 trucks. Now, in China, on the other hand, what's the ratio in China? It's a 1-to-3 ratio, 1-to-3. In China, it's one car for 3 trucks. Their opportunity cost, 3 trucks. So who should produce what? You'll see here that in the United States, they only have to give up 2 trucks, but in China, they have to give up 3 trucks. Who has to give up less? Who has the low opportunity cost? This is your opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. Here. So the United States has a low opportunity cost in the production of cars. So the United States is going to then make the cars. That's what they're going to make. That's what they're going to produce. Whatever you have a comparative advantage in, that's what you make. This means that China has a comparative advantage in the production of trucks. You can only have a comparative advantage in one thing, and one thing only. And the other country always, 100% of the time, will have the comparative advantage in the other item. Remember, this is just opportunity cost. If you're going to go in the other direction, it would just be the reciprocal. Over here, if it was for trucks, it would be one truck for a third of a car. Over here, it would be, one truck for a half of a car. It's just a reciprocal if you're going to go in the other direction there. Okay, so we've determined who has the comparative, who should make what. USA has the comparative advantage in cars. They have a low opportunity cost. That's what they're going to make. China has the comparative advantage in trucks. That's what they're going to make, and that's what they're going to produce. Okay, how about trading? At what level should we trade for? Well, in order for it to be beneficial for both countries, it must be somewhere in between both countries' opportunity costs. So anything in between 2 trucks and 3 trucks. So let's just say 2.5 trucks. Okay, so 2.5 trucks is what we're going to trade at. So we're going to trade 1 car. This is going to be our trade. 1 car for 2.5 trucks. And what would that look like? Well, in the United States, how many cars can they make? The United States can make 50 cars. So USA, they can make 50 cars. And they trade them for every 1 car gets you 2.5 trucks. So they're going to multiply that 50 times 2.5. So 50 times 2.5. And that's going to get them 125 trucks. Yay! And all of a sudden, that 125 trucks is greater than how many trucks they can make on their own. It's greater by 25. So USA, the benefit is 25 trucks. Yay! USA should definitely trade. Now let's take a look at China. Does it benefit China? Let's take a look. So China, what are they making? China is making the trucks, and they have to trade away 2.5 trucks to get 1 car. So China can make 75 trucks. Okay, and if they have to trade away 2.5 to only get 1, they take 2.5 to only get 1. That means they're going to have to divide by. They have to divide by. Oops, sorry. 2.5, and that's going to get them 30 cars. Is 30 more than they can make on their own? Yes, 30 is more than what they can make on their own. So they have a benefit, and their benefit is 5 cars. Both countries are better off by trading. It doesn't matter if one country is more dominant in the production and has the capacity or has an absolute advantage in production of both. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it could have been a situation where the production possibilities crossed like this. That would not have mattered. It still would benefit both countries by trading. And if that were the case, then this country here would make that item, and then this country down here would make that item. It always works out that way, just mathematically. It also would not matter if the countries were to meet at the same position. even if they met at the same position, it would not matter. It would still benefit by trading. It just so happens that this country down here would have the comparative advantage of this item. So that means this country here would have to make that. And we don't know what the red and the blue are. It could be any country. It could be South Africa and Brazil. It doesn't matter what the items are. It could be peanut butter and ice cream. It really doesn't matter. These are all just arbitrary things. The concept and the idea is, do you understand opportunity cost is nothing more than a ratio? Whoever has the ability to produce the item at a low opportunity cost has a comparative advantage, and that's where they should produce. And then terms of trade must exist in between the country's opportunity cost. When you find the benefit of trade, once you figure out what that trade level is, for one country, you're always going to multiply. For the other country, you're always going to divide. That's how it works. And then you compare what they get through trade to what they can produce on their own, and that's your benefit. All right, and that's it. That can be an example of an FRQ question on the AP exam. Hopefully you guys learned something.